All right, guys, and welcome back. Camera's off, and I forgot the green screen again. Oh, my God. Welcome to the Deep Threats Podcast, and we are still inaccurate and still trying to start a podcast that I apparently suck at. As always, you have me here, KJAM, on the mic as your host of the show, and then you always have my co-host here, Wheels.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Get ready for prime time Thursday night on Amazon Prime. We are excited. We are here. You got Jalen Hurts, Kirk Cousins, J. Jeff, and Darius Slay, who blanketed Justin Jefferson last year for 4 receptions and I believe 48 yards. So we're definitely going to be getting into that, taking a deep dive into some of these stats we think for even betting and some predictions for the game, along with a little bit of news that has come out, including the Aaron Rodgers. So once KJ gets back over here, we'll figure out what's going on. So, like, subscribe. Thanks, Ryan. I know we're horrible. You don't have to remind me. I get reminded daily. Just ask my wife.
I mean, you don't have to be quiet, but we all make mistakes, and it's been driving me insane. I've been doing more mistakes than often.
I ran out of stuff to talk about. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It was Ryan in the chat harassing me, which is even worse. Like he said, we got some things to talk about. Few things quick in the news would have to be Stetson Bennett walked away from football. We just saw that today. The Rams signed Brian Ripien to be the backup behind Matt Stafford. As always, you have the wonderful Aaron Rodgers, who is now like on his deathbed. But he did tweet out, or he did say in a chat, that I will be back.
He also said I will be seeing the pharmaceuticals, and he posted a little tweet, kind of a little jab at people making fun of him. For
if he's smart,
year.
he would just have posted a dark room.
So
with
the Hat Man.
Yeah, I mean, if he was smart, he would have just done something.
So
stupid.
Speaking of Rodgers, did you see what he said to Garrett Wilson? I'm sure you did. He said, "I'm sorry,
Ryan.
kid.
I swear to God, the clock, a broke clock is right twice a day. Not a clock is wrong twice.
A clock is
wrong
22.
most of the day if it's broken.
Yeah, a clock is wrong 22 times a day, hourly.
She's picking on me because he's been screwing up this saying, and he does it on purpose now. And I'm usually the one that screws up sayings. So I think that's kind of funny. On top of that, I don't care about what a reporter says about Diggs behind his back.
Nope, I'm not. It's been so.
And if Diggs is an asshole, we all kind of feel that way anyways.
Yeah. So there's been controversy all off season, pretty much since Diggs got there in the first place. And guess what? Neither of them are really talking about it to the media face to face. You don't see.
No, they're just tweets.
Yeah,
they're just tweets at each other, pretty much.
It's whatever.
And I don't know who the girl was that was talking smack on Diggs, because there was a girl. It was a girl that was talking off.
I think that was the one that came out with an apology on the Pat McAfee show today. Actually,
okay, I didn't.
That they posted.
All right, I didn't see that. Tua. There was a question asked to Tua in a press conference, and it says, "You threw 466 yards. How do you feel about those people that think that you can't throw it downfield?" He goes, "I don't give 2 shits."
I was one of those people when he got drafted.
Somebody in chat is also one of those people who thinks he still doesn't throw 20 yards downfield.
Well, let's be honest. You got Tyreek Hill. Like Patrick Mahomes said, he's down there somewhere. So you just got to get the ball to him.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's true. Yeah, right. He sucks. This one's for you, Ryan. Not really, because I wasn't sure if you're going to be here today. Lamar. Right? So, like, Lamar, there was a couple things about Lamar, and it was Lamar, Justin Fields, one quarterback's getting harassed, one's not. Justin Fields is getting harassed left and right. Lamar's not getting harassed at all, mainly because Lamar won his game.
Yeah, also,
that's a big factor.
I just want to throw this out there. As much as I diss on Lamar still has an MVP. He played that season well. He has an MVP. He can always go back to that. There's no saying that's his ceiling.
Right.
We don't know. It's just he has missed a few games here and there. His team has always, had injuries. I mean, you've had J.K. Dobbins out. Now you have Mark Andrews, who's injured. Possibly he's supposed to play. He has a quad injury. So
yeah, I think as of right now, he's practiced.
Yeah. And
so I think Mark Andrews should be in this week.
And honestly, I mean, there's always going to be hate on one side of the ball, no matter what. It's always, next. Well,
I just think the thing is about the treatment that Justin Fields is getting
it's not fair,
over Lamar. I don't know if it's not fair. It's just Lamar won his game.
Yeah.
So, Lamar's not going to get insulted because he won his game. Justin Fields came out and said he was a top 5 quarterback in the NFL in the offseason. Yeah. So you kind of opened a door for insult when you pretty much put yourself in a top 5 running quarterback of all time.
Yeah, and you're already starting with a whole bunch of new players on your team. You're young. You have a young team. So, I mean, that you're putting a target on your back, exactly.
Yeah, so everything Justin Fields he did for himself. Another thing is, this one's for the AFC North fans out there, all the Deshaun Watson hate. I saw this tweet, I think it was like earlier today or yesterday. The QBR per all AFC North quarterbacks.
9th.
Well, he's 9th of all 32 quarterbacks.
But he's first
but he's first in the AFC North. Joe Burrow was 20.3. Lamar Jackson was 13.6. Kenny Pickett was 23.8. Deshaun Watson was 65.8 QBR.
Yes.
3 times better than the best quarterback in the AFC North.
Yep.
So that being said, Jordan Love was better than him at 73.3, and Brock Purdy was the best in the league at 91.3 for his QBR.
So I just real quick about
that's pretty darn good for Brock Purdy.
Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson. There is a lady on Twitter who's a sports poster, and I commented on one of her page or one of her videos because she said that Deshaun Watson sucks and Joe Burrow played fine, but he gets benefit of the doubt because he missed time. Well, you go back a couple of videos from last year, and she said, Deshaun Watson sucks. And on that video I posted, well, he hasn't had time. And I went right back to that video where I said Deshaun Watson didn't have time to develop with his team. I said, kind of funny how it's always one side or the other, right?
Yeah. And that's she
blocked me pretty quick.
Yeah, but that's also the weather argument. Everybody kept giving Joe Burrow the weather excuse.
It's the AFC North. You know you're going to play in football like this.
Yep.
You played it in college. You played it in the NFL all these years. You played in high school. It's never going to change. You got drafted to the AFC North. That's how football is. It's cold. It's wet. It's not an easy place to play in. We have no stadium that is a dome in this conference or in the division.
And I love it. I personally love it.
Yeah, I don't want domes. I think domes ruin.
And Ryan knows me. Oh, I forgot about that today. The amount of league, I guess, embarrassment or league hatred from the players with all these turf. We talked about this last season. Ryan brought this up middle of last season, way before we even talked about it. That players don't want to play on turf.
There's a whole movement, actually. So I listen to the Colin Cowherd show every day. He reps a whole movement. There's a whole movement by, I think, Scotts or Pennington for a lawn care that they're trying to get rid of turf fields for the NFL and college and high school. I mean, let's be honest. The NFL, it's not going to cost you that much money.
Well, here's the thing. It's not the NFL. And this is where, like, I don't like...
The owners.
It's the owners. And they keep protesting the NFL, but I think the reason they need to re-engineer those turf fields. Yeah, I agree they maybe re-engineer the grass, but right now they've got that webbing grass that we're looking at for the turf, which actually catches the cleat. So,
but I think that's part of the issue with catching the cleat is because it's essentially
it's not letting the foot go.
Yeah, it's not letting the foot go.
Yeah, it's not letting the foot go. But like my thing is that if you're going to protest the NFL, like not really protest, I guess, like constantly whine and complain to the NFL, I guess you want a rule change that all fields should be grass. I'm assuming that's what you're asking for.
I mean, David Bakhtiari is a big advocate of that. He posted on Twitter after the Rodgers injury.
So are they asking for a rule change? Because to be honest, you could protest to the owners and tell the owners to just stop doing it.
Yeah.
It's cheaper for turf. That's why they're doing it, because they don't need the upkeep.
Well, it's like, Arizona and I believe Las Vegas both have real grass that they push outside to grow. I think both those stadiums have real grass, but majority of domes all have AstroTurf or some type of turf. And I mean, it's just...
AstroTurf. I'm just messing.
It needs to change, because if you look at a statistic about injuries, especially soft tissue injuries, on a AstroTurf versus natural field, it's exponentially higher, and there's a reason for it. Like we said, the webbing. I would
actually like to see, and I know it's probably more recent, some actual like research,
like a graph.
Yeah, like since turf's come in the league, how like injuries have increased, whether it be knees, ankles. Like I wonder if anybody's done that yet, a deep dive in that situation, because I mean I would assume the NFL's done it, because they're gonna have to figure it out, especially if players are asking for a rule change.
Yeah, I mean,
if players are asking for a rule change, this could be a big impact in the NFL. It could be huge, although the Super Bowl wasn't turf, so they did have their own greenskeeper, Kansas City. No comment. Doing the Super Bowl again.
Hashtag fixed.
Anyways.
Yeah, like you said. So I was quick to blame the NFL, but you're right. It is the owners. That's who owns the stadiums. So it's 100% the owners that can change it. The players,
It's not a conspiracy, Ryan. It's actually fact. Look up who actually took care of the Super Bowl grass. And why is Kansas City's guy taking care of the Super Bowl grass and not Arizona's guy? Because wasn't it in Arizona? Huh. That's really confusing. Really odd. Kansas City got to bring their own groundskeeper to the Super Bowl. Talk about home field advantage. And they weren't supposed to have home field advantage because they didn't have the better record. That's confusing. Anyways, moving on, because speaking of the other team that was in the Super Bowl, Philadelphia Eagles, they play the Minnesota Vikings this Thursday.
Yep. And
Minnesota gets a primetime game, 1 of 5 of this year. They are the second most primetime games behind the Detroit Lions. So they have, which is a struggle because right now everybody goes Kurt Thuggins is not a primetime quarterback.
And I said that before the
right. So he's
show.
12-20 in primetime. So I don't know if I'd consider that not a primetime quarterback. 12-20 in all primetime. It's almost. I guess it's like, what is that, like 40 or 33, 66 maybe.
And the stat I looked up, I still think he's thrown, for 35 touchdowns, 19
His
interceptions.
stats are still there.
So it's not like he's playing bad. I'm not saying he's not to blame, but most of the time when you look at it, he's not. When you really look at the way,
I think the issue with Kurt is the crunch time prime time guy, like that fourth quarter final drive.
Get down the field in a minute and a half, you got to score.
Is he going to be the guy that's going to do it for you?
And that's where a lot of people say that he's not a top 10 quarterback because he doesn't have that drive to just march down the field with that offense and score.
But I would never say he's not a top 10 quarterback. I would just say he's not a guy I can depend on to win the game.
No,
but he's top 10. Like he's
top
statistically
10, but not
a top 10 quarterback.
He's top 10, but he's not top 5. So there's guys that can do that.
I would agree with you. I think that's probably the difference between top 5 and 6 through 10 is the guy I can trust to take me down the field.
Exactly. Joe Burrow, Joe Burrow, he can march down the field and get that. Patrick Mahomes can do it. Herbert, I'm not sure.
I don't know if Joe Burrow can do it.
I'm not sure if Herbert's in that conversation yet. I really am not sure. Same with Deshaun Watson.
I definitely think Herbert is in that conversation.
I hope so. I think
Herbert's in that
I was a bit advocate of him, but that's perfectly said. Top 5, that guy can go on down the field in about a minute and a half and score. Top 10, maybe not.
All right, getting into it, Wheels. Give me your stardoms.
My stardoms are for the Eagles. You're going to start Jalen Hurts. You're going to start A.J. Brown. You're going to start Devontae Smith, and you will be starting Dallas Goedert. The sits for the Eagles are...
I can't spell Smith. Don't judge me. That's my typo.
The sits... The sits for the Eagles are the entire running back room until someone proves that they are the true number 1 because they have so many mouths to feed.
Like I said, the starter on the day on the depth chart is DeAndre Swift. So it looks like he's going to be taking the first snap.
It's really hard to pinpoint any guy that, is going to get a good amount of reps in this game. But that's my stardoms for the Eagles. My stardoms for the Vikings are Kirk Cousins, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, and Alexander Madison. My sit is Justin Jefferson. I know. Before you say anything, please go look at the stat line.
The stat line was 4 of 6 for 48 yards last year and 0 touchdowns.
And
against Philly.
The stat line,
and that was towards the end of the season when they needed to win games.
Yeah, and it's nothing. Justin Jefferson's Justin Jefferson. I get it. You can't sit him, but unless you have a guy that you can.
If you have receivers to sit,
exactly.
I understand the argument is if you have receivers to sit, and let's just say you're a roster who's playing in Dynasty, and you're sitting there and you've got AJ Brown, you've got Jamar Chase, you've got Justin Jefferson because you've drafted very well. There's a situation where I think you can sit Jefferson.
Yeah, but I agree with what you're saying, Ryan. Never sit your studs unless you have good depth. So I'm not disagreeing with you on part of that. I just have a hard time.
I think he's saying sit Madison. I don't think he thinks Madison's going to be good. I think he's agreeing with you on the sit Madison.
Yeah, sit Madison.
Because he didn't put a question mark at the back of that. He would have put a question mark on the back of that.
No, I think I put start Madison. My sit is KJ Osborne. Did I sit Madison?
No, you didn't. You started Madison.
Okay, so I started Madison. I have nothing against JJ.
Who was your stardoms for?
Kirk, Addison.
For Philly.
Oh, my stardoms for Philly.
Oh, you
are,
did. You just said. Yeah, my bad. My bad.
My only sit, my two sits, obviously, for the Vikings, is JJ and KJ Osborne. Because I think you're going to see in the next week or two is where Addison's going to start, taking that step to get above KJ Osborne and start getting those targets from him.
Okay, and I'll jump in. I'll give you mine. My stardoms for you went. Who'd you go first?
I went Philly.
You went Philly first.
Philly starts it.
My stardoms for Philly is pretty much the entire offense. To be honest with you, outside the running back room, like you said, I said to start AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, Jalen Hurts. I think Goddard I have sitting. I'm trying to think who else I have out there. I think that might be it for the stardoms. And then for Minnesota stardoms, I have JJ, Addison, Hawkinson, and then I have Madison sitting also. And that's just based on what happened last week. And they have that Nguenu who's been taking also snaps.
Oh, Aniguango or
I can't remember how to say his name, but they have him who's taking snaps also. So this is a situation that Myles Gaskin's now in that backfield. So this is a situation where I can see a Philly type situation with the running backs. If Madison's not doing it, somebody else is going to get the ball. And then I see bigger targets in the end zone because they have struggled pushing the ball past the line. And it's Philly's defensive line, right? Yeah. So, probably one of the biggest stacked defensive lines in the NFL right now. So, getting through them with a run game might be a little on the hard side. I think this is where you're going to have to use wide receivers in Kansas City or in Minnesota to try to put the ball in the end zone. Now, I will say that I was looking at the over-under, and it's 48.5 points. I probably would take the over in this situation just because I see this probably being a high-scoring, high-flying game. And I know that sounds weird with Philly's defense, but Philly's defense gave up 20 points to Mac Jones.
Yeah, so Philly has, like you said, they have a good run defense. Darius Slay is going to be blanketing JJ. I believe Bradbury is hurt. I'm not sure if he's playing in this game.
Is Greedy Williams active in this game? Because I think if Greedy Williams is active in this game,
somebody's got to eat on that offense passing wise, like you said.
Well, that's why I actually like Addison more in this game points wise than I like Justin Jefferson, because they're going to, like you just said, blanket JJ, and they're going to try to keep him to short yardage or quick outs and get him out of bounds. I think Addison is going to be the guy that's going to be single covered and open. I honestly do. I don't know what IMO is, Ryan.
Under.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, he is supposed to be active for the game today.
Yeah, so you see a small, so it's funny. When you say 23-15, it's 23-15 Philly, because Minnesota is away. Based on the way you wrote that score, it would be Minnesota winning the game. I personally see that you gave up 20 points to the Patriots, and I believe hands down that the Minnesota Vikings offense is way better than the Patriots. Yeah. Way better. There's not even Madison is at this point in his career as good as Zeke at this point in his career. Yeah. So and I'm not trying to say that one's better than the other overall, because I would take Zeke over Madison any day.
Well, 100%.
But I think at this point in both of their careers, they're probably fairly equivalent. Whereas they have Ramondre in the Patriots, and they couldn't stop. Who would they have? That was it. Nikhil? That wasn't Nikhil Harry.
Jacoby Meyer, or not a Jacoby. I'm sorry.
I can't remember. Juju didn't have that good of a game. It was I can't remember who had a good game. But they couldn't stop Mac Jones in that game, and Mac Jones got 20 points. So that's kind of where they got 2 touchdowns. It's kind of where I'm the Eagles struggled against the Patriots. It was the beginning of the year. The Eagles also struggled putting up points, but I think you can easily put up points on Minnesota, which is why I have Minnesota giving up 28 to 34 points. Kendrick Bourne. I have Minnesota giving up 28 to 30 points easily. So that's why I'm taking the over, because all Minnesota has to do is score 24 points, and you have the over at 24-24. That's just under it. So one field goal gives you the over. So I personally, 48.5, I definitely have the over. I personally do.
It's definitely a hard line. I have Jalen Hurts throwing for 2 touchdowns and a rushing touchdown.
Okay, so if you have him throwing for 2 touchdowns, who do you have getting the touchdowns?
I have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. I have Devontae Smith getting scoring the first one in my parlay.
I here's the thing. I see a difference in this offense today from playing the Patriots. I think playing the Patriots was kind of the first time that the entire offense was out there.
Yeah.
And we all know that the start of the season now was kind of like the first preseason game for the starters.
Well, you saw that with the passing stats across the league this week. So.
Yeah, so I think that I would probably put Jalen Hurts around 285 passing.
Yeah.
And I can see him passing for 2 touchdowns. I kind of agree with that. But I also see a third touchdown, whether it be a pass or a run, as like a check down or a quick slant.
Not a Goddard or Swift or Penny or even him running it.
Yeah. Ryan, actually, I think I was talking to him earlier, and he says I see Jalen throwing 2 and running 1.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
So,
that's what I said. So, I mean,
I wouldn't doubt it if Jalen Hurts is the top rusher on the team today.
No.
Like, that wouldn't... But DeAndre Swift, if DeAndre Swift is healthy and they know how to utilize DeAndre Swift like the Detroit Lions knew how to utilize, he can eat and he can have 120 yards, which is why I have a hard time sitting DeAndre Swift. But if they are legitimately going to start DeAndre Swift and he's going to have 65 to 70% snap percentage, I would start him in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of people think that Detroit got rid of DeAndre Swift because he sucked. It's not that. It's just they moved in a different direction with that whole team. And he would work perfect, like you said, with the Eagles if he got the majority of the snap percentage because he's another repetition running back. He's a guy that gets almost stronger as the day goes on versus a lot of guys that, start to get gassed. I think he builds up with his running ability, in my opinion. I think if the Eagles come out and you hear some, murmurings about it. No, DeAndre Swift's our guy tonight. We're going to give him heavy snap percentage. You start him 100%. But the leading rusher, outside of if they actually say that, DeAndre Swift is going to be leading that running back room tonight, I would have to agree with Jalen Hurts having probably 50 rushing yards. I'd go over 50. I know that's quite a few, but if you look at last year, I believe he had the most rushing yards in the league as a quarterback.
I was trying to look up
behind Justin.
I was trying to look up what the how and it's so early in the season to have stats like this, but how is Minnesota against tight ends? Because Goddard, like you said,
I think they let up 82 yards last year when they played the Vikings to Goddard.
But I mean, but that defense is completely different this year. Like Minnesota's defense is probably way worse this year.
Yeah, yes, they were way worse.
And that's coming from a person who had them going to the playoffs and has them currently in first place in their division. Like, I have them winning the division.
Yeah.
Now, I'm struggling with that based on what they did last week.
I don't know if that was... So do you think that was a fluke, or do you think that was a...
Well, I think it's preseason game 1. I really, truly do. I think everything that happened in the first week of the NFL, you probably can't take for concrete evidence on how that team plays. I think week 2 is when you start to see these teams settle into place.
So I would I like to compare, the Patriot comparison. Bill always, he isn't the greatest in September, but almost from November on, he was solid with Brady and with that team on defense.
I mean, even with Mac Jones, he was winning games in his rookie year.
And I'm not saying that, that's the only reason, Bill is, he sucks in September, but no, I feel like, again, he gets stronger as the year pushes on. They start to figure out that offense where they start to mesh everybody on that team, because for the Patriots, a lot of new guys come in every year and a lot of new guys go out every year. Bill is a very, he likes to add new guys, and if, he thinks a guy's time is his time, he's going to let him go. He's not going to keep him, an extra year in case he gets burned. So that's just how always the Bill Belichick offense and defense has been for the last couple of years, even without Tom Brady, I feel like. But yeah, like you said, even with Mac Jones in his rookie year and before that, he always seemed to have gotten stronger as the year went on. So I think a lot of teams are starting to turn to that. Like you said, with the week 1 preseason, we saw a lot of these quarterbacks not play so well. A lot of these defenses stepped up. You had some weather games, but I think it's more like a learning curve. It's, getting back on that bicycle and just feeling comfortable again.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna depend on I think the X factors tonight, right? Kirk Thuggins, prime time. Okay.
Yeah.
That's actually what everybody's saying is like, can Kirk overcome another primetime game? Because it just seems like Kirk has an issue with primetime games.
With those weapons, I think he can.
Yeah, and that's my thing. I don't think has to. I think it has to, like, that defense has to hold, and personally, that defense has to hold Philly under 24 to win the game.
And you have 3 solid targets on that team between Hawkinson, JJ, Addison, and KJ Osborne is nothing to, gawk at.
No, he's like Tyler Boyd.
He's a good wide receiver 4 or 3. I mean,
I agree with that. The thing is, like, so that's hurdle number 1, right? I think Kirk has to produce. The Minnesota Vikings have to keep the Eagles under 24 points to win the game.
Yes.
And then they have to get a run game going, to just any type of run game. Like,
yes.
You're going to need more than 3.5 yards a carry to win this game.
Yeah, I think the Minnesota Vikings are going to force Jalen Hurts to throw it, and they're going to spy him, is how I think this defense is going to work tonight. I think the defense will force...
I don't know if you could do that with A.J. Brown on that field.
Yeah, I think
because then if you're going to spy Jalen Hurts, you lose the over top guy for A.J. Brown.
Well,
you're.
But if you look at last year, that's where the Dallas Goedert yards came from the seam up over the middle, is because you brought that linebacker into play to play a spy. So he had 82 receiving yards last year. So I mean, the problem is they don't have a solid running game in Philly that we have seen yet. So either you're going to have to either force him to run or force him to throw, but if you force him to run, then you've got Jalen Hurts who could just get out and go get 5, 10, 15 yards back to back to back.
I agree, Rylan. I think Jalen's going to have a wonderful day. I think it's going to be a bounce back week from week 1.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think Jalen is the leading rusher. I would take the over 50.
And if I had both these quarterbacks on my team, I hate to say it, I'd still start Kirk Cousins just because of the amount of yardage he probably put up. He'll probably put up almost 80 to 100 yards more than Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. And like I said,
and the question is, I don't know who's going to pass or run for more, and I don't know how your offense is set up for a fantasy. 6-point passing, 6-point running.
Yeah, and
I have no idea.
And honestly, it took a lot for me to say sit JJ. I know he's, the best wide receiver by far in the league.
Yeah, but there's two teams that own him, right?
And it's nothing against JJ. It's nothing against Kirk. But, if you have like a guy you can start above him, you're like, I don't know. I need somebody.
I agree, Ryan. He's like, I'm hoping Swift has a big game so I can start selling him. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be like, you're going to have to find a way to sell him in this situation, because when he was like listed as like 3rd on the depth chart, I thought that was crazy. 3rd to 4th. Like Penny was at like right with him.
Is there any sleepers in this game tonight?
So a sleeper could be
and I'm not saying, JJ or
sleeper.
Hawkinson, like KJ. Do you think KJ Osborne has 50 yards and a touchdown somehow?
I think the sleeper could be the 3rd receiver in the Eagles.
I would say 3rd receiver on both teams.
I don't know if Penny's going to be a sleeper, because I don't know how much. I think Penny's the 3rd running back today. I think it's DeAndre Swift, Boston Scott, and then Penny. So I can't remember who the 3rd receiver is for the Eagles, but I think he has
Zacchaeus.
Is Olimide
Zacchaeus, the guy from Atlanta.
Yeah, so Olimide Zacchaeus is the actual 3rd receiver.
Zacchaeus.
And that's a great position for him to get down deep and kind of prove his worth today.
Yeah.
And I think there's potential there. This is too many high value names here that I don't know if this is a sleeper.
That's why I threw it out there. I'm like, when you really look at it, it's hard to see.
Addison would be my sleeper in this game. Like, I see Addison being the best weapon points-wise for fantasy in this game outside of quarterbacks. Because quarterbacks always score high.
I think he's projected 9.87 last time I checked.
And he scored 17 points, I think, the last game
I think he had 50,
and he was only projected like 8.
Yeah, I think he had 5 receptions, 51 yards, and a touchdown.
I think it was 4 for 60 some odd.
Yeah, it was
2 touchdowns.
Oh, was it my?
Yeah, he had 2 touchdowns. One was a short field touchdown. The other one was a 40-yard burst. Ryan and I were talking about it earlier.
Yeah, I mean,
so I think Addison, and I guess that's not a sleeper because he produced week 1. But I think he's a sleeper just because when you're talking about AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, like, he's the worst guy out there in those 4.
And that's so a lot of people were kind of surprised when they drafted Jordan Addison, but the thing is, you lost Adam Thielen.
Yeah, I don't know how surprised.
KJ Osborne hasn't shown to be that guy that could take a step up and be right under JJ. You needed to change something. And that's where Addison, it kind of fell into their lap. We got to take him. Let's see what we got to produce with JJ. Because in that high-flying, it's not a run-first offense anymore without Dalvin Cook there. It is a pass-heavy offense. It has been for the last couple of years, ever since JJ obviously has been there. Someone's going to get those yards. At the end of the day, with them even trading for Hawkinson last year, they all eat. Hawkinson had 914 receiving yards. Do not be surprised if there are 2,000-yard receivers on this team this year. Obviously, it's going to be JJ. It's just whether it's Addison or Hawkinson.
Oh, Hawkinson's not.
That's right. I think it's. Yeah. I think it's. Addison.
I hate the way you're saying Hawkinson. It's Hawkinson.
Yeah, I know.
It's driving me insane.
I'm sorry.
But no, I don't. It's Hawkinson can. I just don't see it with all of the targets. Yeah, there's so many mouths to feed. But in this situation, is there any prop bets you like in this game?
So like I said, these are my bets. I put a 11 leg because I had a free bet out there. It's screw it. Let's just say it. I think it's to win 1,500 or something. And mine was, so I have Devontae Smith scoring the first touchdown. I have Jalen Hurts scoring anytime touchdown. With that, it's a rushing touchdown, I believe, not a passing. I have A.J. Brown anytime touchdown. I have the Eagles winning this game. I have Jalen Hurts throwing for 2 touchdowns. I have Kirk Cousins throwing for 2 touchdowns. I have both quarterbacks throwing for 200 yards. And I believe I have Jalen Hurts 50 rushing yards.
Wow. So you got a lot of prop bets in this game.
Yeah, it's a lot of prop bets. I mean, some of them are straight, some of them are in a parlay. I personally would stay away from the JJ first touchdown. I know that a lot of people have been betting on that.
What about JJ 20-plus receiving yards in the first quarter? I would say yes. I would say yes.
So he had 46, 48 last year. I could see him surpassing 50. The touchdown is where I have the worry. And he's going to get probably 5 to 7 receptions. But the problem is half PPR leagues, you're depending on that touchdown every week from him.
There's a lot of prop bets that I'd probably take here. Like A.J. Brown, 25-plus receiving yards in each half. I would take that.
Yeah.
It's not huge odds, but each team to score 1+ TD and 1+ field goal in each half.
You could easily see that with a high-scoring game. If you take the over, you're gonna want to take that prop bet to play with it almost.
Yeah, well, I don't like to. When you do that, you kind of put yourself in a bad situation. But I mean, I definitely can see the ones that I think I would have fun with is Madison for over 25 yards in the first half. Yeah. That would be let's see.
When they're trying to get that running game established.
Yeah, those are things that I'd kind of have more fun with. I definitely don't see both tight ends getting 50 yards no.
I could definitely try.
I don't like Goddard today, and I understand the Goddard argument.
The only reason
based on what he did last week, I just don't know if they're ready to push the ball that way.
Yeah,
I don't know why. And maybe Goddard's the sleeper. Maybe that's the sleeper.
But that's why I said I think Goddard's going to get 60, 70 yards, maybe a touchdown, is because they're going to spy.
That's 17, 18 points depending on how many passes.
Yeah,
that's really good.
You're going to lose that, that over the middle type of protection. That's why I said I like Goddard in this situation.
Maybe that's why Ryan likes Goddard too then. All right. I mean, I got nothing else today. We're going to have another show Sunday morning. We're going to have a show Sunday morning because last week we had a whole bunch of stuff going on with the family.
Yep.
Ryan, if you're free, I'd love to have you here Sunday morning. We started at 8 a.m., so if you wanted to come on in, we can shoot the shit and talk some football and play some stuff on the line.
I miss you, Ryan.
I definitely owe Wheels a slap in the face from the last show, and I think he thinks I forgot about it.
What?
Remember the bet we made on the last show, and I said if this happens, I get to slap you in the face?
What?
I can't
I think it was
now.
a score.
I don't remember now, but I'm telling you, there was a bet we had. I'm gonna have to go watch. I'm gonna have to go watch it.
I have 2 for 2 on my bets on Bet365.
I'm over.
One of them was a gimme. Obviously.
I'm 0 for 6, but that's because I like to parlay 10 things. I love
parlays.
That's
where the money is, though. Yeah. Screw it.
I do $5 bets on 10
speaking of parlay, did you see the guy that last week that got screwed out of $17,000 because the Vikings lost? That's the only team he needed to win. I think he lost $17,000.
That might have been my only team too. But there was a lot of teams. I took like the over. Oh no, I took the over on the Browns. I wish I could tell you the bet. I kind of want to slap him because if I remember that, I'm gonna have to go watch the show again because I did make a bet. It was towards the end, and then
I remember that. I just don't remember. I don't remember
what the exact bet was. I know. All right. Anything from you, Wheels, today?
Like I said, I would just sit JJ. I like Goddard in this situation. You heard my bets. I do believe the Eagles will win.
If you can sit JJ, sit JJ. If you can't, do not sit JJ.
And you have a solid.
He keeps saying it, and it's driving me insane because there's no way you have JJ. You drafted it first overall. There's no way.
No, but
there's no way.
If you have a solid flex player that you can put in and move one of your flex guys up to wide receiver, obviously, I would do it. But unless you do not, and if you do not have the depth, do not sit JJ. I don't want to be blamed for you losing your league.
Your fantasy teams.
Yeah, I'm not that type of guy. Sorry.
I am Wheels. I take zero credit for anything I say ever. If JJ scores 5 points, I win. JJ scores 25 points. I told you not to sit him unless you could afford to sit him.
Hey, I'm a politician,
remember that,
right?
All right. I do not claim it, and I do not deny it. All in the same statement. That being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful day today. I'm rooting for the Philadelphia Eagles to win this game as much as I would love to see both teams go 1-1 because I don't want to see an undefeated team this early because I'm sick of hearing it all season long. I wish all teams would lose a game, win a game, so I don't have to hear, the undefeated team. Oh, the undefeated team. Oh, there's an undefeated team. It gets old. Unless it's the Browns.
Fast.
All right.
Hey, if the Browns win this Monday, they will be 2-0 for the first time in over 30 years.
And if the Browns win, they will be 2-0 in the division.
Yes.
All right. Peace out, guys. I hope you have a wonderful day.
See you Sunday. Later.